Good evening, good afternoon. The Brownfield Redevelopment Authority will now come to order. Roll call.
Childs. Kennard. Hull.
Here.
Warren.
Here.
Adams.
Present.
Hudson.
Here.
Clark. Edwards. Chandler.
Here.
And Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Review of minutes from the 14th of September, 2023. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Any concerns, questions? Hearing none. Roll call.
Hudson.
Approve.
Chandler.
Yes.
Hull.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Communications.
Madam Chair, we have no communications that I'm aware of.
Thank you. This portion is open for public comments. Would you have any public comments? Step to the podium, state your name and address, and step to the podium, please, if you have any public comments. Hear none?
Madam Chair.
Please. Yes, I could like to beg the indulgence of the board. In addition to my normal triple duty, I also have an additional double duty since the city manager is away for 3 weeks. And I'm gonna have to be across town in about 15 minutes. So I wanted to take the opportunity to share a concern with you. I know we're evaluating the responses we received to our RFP. I would like to ask that while you complete the evaluation process, that you consider holding on making a determination. And the reason is that I want to interact with you some more about a development that's taking place. We all know what Brownfield traditionally has done and what its role has been. From a city perspective, an economic development perspective, it's a tool that we need to be able to use. The thing that has occurred that is causing some concern on my part that I want to interact with you more about before you make a final determination. The legislature, in its wisdom, and Mark and I agree we'd rather have seen it somewhere else, but they chose to put it under Brownfields. Public Act 90 of 2023, which has been approved by the legislature in June and signed off by the governor in July, creates an ability for the Brownfield mechanism to establish and utilize tax increment financing for housing development. Whether we like the way it's structured or not, we're going to have to use that tool. And it's going to require a lot more activity to take place in Brownfield than what its limited function has been in the past. Essentially, the reason it's going to be really important to us, in the past week, I've had 2 developers come in, one from Chicago, one from Ohio, wanting to do 2 different significant size housing developments. And they're forced to back off because using the other existing tools, MISTA has considerations like walkability, distance to the nearest grocery store, to the nearest drugstore and whatnot, that get so many points if it's a mile or less, and you get less if it's not, and it knocks them out. This tool, the tax increment financing tool, which is going to be used across the state, doesn't require that. It may be necessary for us, if we're going to achieve our goals in terms of getting new housing, to make use of this mechanism. And it's going to require a good deal of interaction, between developers, staff, function that will need to be performed for Brownfield, and and a process is involved. In fact, I attended 3 of their sessions. The first was for consultants, the second for developers, and the last one was for municipalities. And in fact, I've done financing for business before, and this is even more complicated. So I just wanted to register that concern. And what I'd like to do between now and the next board meeting is to start feeding you some specific information that you can look at in terms of what's going to be required and so forth. When you finish, you may decide you want to still go in one direction, but at least you'll have all the information. But this is something new that we've not had to deal with before. And I think it's a substantial tool for the city and a significant role that you may be asked to play.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I don't understand how speak into the mic, please. I don't understand how our holding off on making a decision negatively impacts what you're proposing to do.
Very honestly, my
or
thought process about just exactly what you asked is that if you wind up selecting a firm, especially if it's a firm that's out of town, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, somewhere, and what we've been doing might not be a big thing, but if suddenly you also have got to have somebody that develops a ability to handle the requirements that are going to be in this, most likely you'll have a consultant hiring a consultant or to do the part of the work that's necessary for establishing the TIF and going through the requirements that TIF financing is going to require. And I think we need to look at that and see if we can devise a mechanism that works best for us, where we get somebody that can do both.
Okay.
And so currently, Mark wouldn't be able to address both? In your role as the consultant, he wouldn't be able to address both?
No.
Or would he be able to? The TIF as well as the Brownfield?
If Mark were going to be here, and I wish he was, I'm sure we could work together and figure this out.
Mark.
Mr. Little is very kind. This is a very complicated process to affect these amendments that have recently come out. It is going to require a skill set that you haven't needed in the past. And quite frankly, it's a skill set that, while I might be able to muddle my way through, it's not my forte. And it's perhaps timely that I am seeking to retire at this point. I do, however, and I know you haven't asked me for it, but I do, however, have a suggestion that you might want to consider that perhaps would address Mr. Little's request and your interests in continuing to move forward. And that is that you not underestimate the preparation and skill set of some of your respondents. They have been gearing up for this. They have on their staffs people that have the skills that Mr. Little is referring to. And in some cases, they have been instrumental in crafting the actual amendments. So perhaps what you would consider is identifying your top 2 candidates here today, inviting them in for an interview, or interviews rather, and questioning them at length about their ability to deliver these particular skills, because they are going to be of great interest to the city going forward. In Project T, for example, they could be applied in Project T. They could be applied in many, many situations that Mr. Little and city is working on right now. That way, you're continuing to move forward, but at the same time, you're going to address the concerns and interests that Mr. Little and his department has on behalf of the rest of the city. Just a suggestion.
And I think that would work.
Mhm. And are there, I'm sorry, go on.
Okay, number one, I heard the acronym MISHTA used a couple times.
Michigan State Housing Development
This,
Authority.
the specific organization to which this skill set will be applicable? Because, I mean, to my understanding, I thought that MSHA dealt with moderate and low-income housing only.
Housing period. They're the state agency that handles that. The other one that does also participate with them is MEDC, and there's going to be overlap between the two in carrying out this act.
So what you're actually doing is marrying Michigan Economic Development Corporation and MSHA together in order to complete a project,
In order to
which
promote
would have
housing.
new paradigm
Yes.
to the existing, which is low and moderate income, to which I have seen 300 units go up
Low, moderate.
just before we went into financial distress. So I think it's about time that we start focusing on some housing that pays its fair rate.
And that's what this is about, that and workforce housing is one of the state's priorities across the board.
Then I would be with it. But I would like to know something about this anointed, specific skill set that is going to be necessary. MEDC is basically an economic development organization, which has fund balances to, operate in certain areas, types of projects. You meet their financial threshold and the funds are available when they prioritize you in. What is this specific set of skills that would preclude that?
Development financing,
Okay,
being able to do profit loss, pro formas, rent loss coverage, the whole 9 yards.
okay. So a person with more financial expertise than basically environmental mediation and remediation.
Exactly.
Well, in that respect, I think if we don't see anything in this council, it'd probably be to our advantage, and it would even assist the city if we prolong. But I look at Mark and say, well, this doesn't enjoin him. Is he gonna be around until, because I thought that was one of the reasons we wanted to get somebody on board. Mark wants to go fishing. I'll get that.
So, Mr. Little, a couple of meetings ago, you were working on filling a role and you thought that person could possibly do the Brownfield and that role. Have you gotten any closer to filling that role?
We are, and as a matter of fact, myself and the team members that are from the Oxford Collaborative, and we asked Mark to also participate in the review of the applicants. And I both and a couple of the others have our eye on a very strong candidate.
I don't think I have a question. I think it's more of a statement. I guess because in my mind, I'm trying to place a meeting that I had with Chief over the curriculum in the high school, of the schools, in our various schools, and a meeting with the superintendent in regards to some things. And in my mind, I'm trying to put them in the right perspective, because I know that we've been working on putting together some type of training for our youth to get involved in building homes and working with contractors that are willing to take them on under apprenticeship. I do know that this is something that I've been fighting for years. And just I think 4 years ago, I became more involved and got on the state's board of MML of Finance and Housing Economic Development. And we made some decisions lately that allowed this to come down into our local communities so that we can actually utilize something like the Brownfield for the type of development that I know not only our community needs, but others as well. I'm gonna stop because I'd like to hear what Mr. Little has to say, Madam Chair,
I was gonna say,
before I go any further.
I've been meeting with Superintendent Butts and we've been talking about just that kind of thing. In addition, you may not recall, but Van Potts and his MHT group that's gonna be doing corner Wall Street. His plan is to include a training operation like that within that project. And he's been doing that over in Detroit and a couple of other places. He's gonna bring it here too.
Okay,
If
and
I might be excused, I've gotta get.
I really appreciate that, and thank you,
But
Mr. Little.
before you leave, I have something I want to say to the board. We hired Mike to be our consultants because we are not astute in what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. He makes recommendations to us and brings to us, and we look over what we have to read. If new acts come up, that's Act what, 99?
Act 90.
90, which we didn't have before. Ms. Adams has been here for years, she's always wanted something like housing. Wanted us to get involved in housing, to put something in our community. So this is the city's Brownfield economic development. He is a representative of the city to make that recommendation to us as what would be beneficial to us to think on as a board. Mark is our consultant to get with Mr. Little to see how that works and makes that recommendation to us. As far as holding off on these, I'm sure, as they said, we could look at them, see what we need to do, see which ones we talk about. But if it's going to be something that's going to be beneficial more to the city than what's in these that we have here, in long term, this is not just short term. This is going to be long term.
Yes, it
And
is.
the funds are out there now. Mark might be here for a while, but he may not be. And he's given us that recommendation, which would be long-term when you are gone, Mark. So we need to have the best that's going to be best for us, that can work with the city to get the outcome of what the city wants. So y'all can go.
So may I?
Mark has something.
Madam Chair and members, I think that I heard Mr. Little agree with the suggestion that I offered
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And I think to put a period on it, if Mr. Little participated in that interview process and
Yes.
he can also express his questions, I think he'll come away from that recommending that you either proceed with a selection of one of those or that you hold off.
Recommendation.
But I-
I'm comfortable with that.
Yes.
And
I
I
think,
might, if I could, just
Go ahead.
before I leave,
go ahead, because I know your hands are full.
Sam hit the nail on the head
Yes,
when he
he did.
mentioned about MEDC, which is normally an economic development agency. And their overlap here with MISTA. That is exactly what I've said to this city is exactly what's going on at the state level now. They recognize that housing across this entire state is a major economic development. It's not just low and moderate, but it's housing, period.
I just want to say that Mr. Little is aware of one commissioner that fights very hard and have been along with me, I with her, for years now to make sure that the residents get a lot of the get the training they need to obtain a job so that they can hopefully get a roof over their head as well, and not to allow other contractors and stuff to come in and, take our money out of the community. Because it's going to help us to gain water customers and build on our tax base when we look after our own, and to take a good look at those that have become before us, that have applied, to get those recommendations. I could fully support to do exactly that, because we do want to ensure that whomever we choose amongst those are able and willing to work with the city of Benton Harbor to ensure that we can help build on our workforce at getting the training that we need. We have finally the locals that are interested in coming in, the unions at setting up. I just stopped and talked to a young man that was working on the roof that was putting a roof on a house that would last a lifetime, basically. And I think that that's something else we need to do when it comes to materials of building, that local unions, would know best. And I'm all for it.
Okay,
To take a look and,
Move to,
Excuse me,
oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to say, are we
Speaking
speaking that we are going, from my understanding, with the suggestion that we choose our top two here? Because in reading over these submissions, I see one here who is apparently aware that this new addition to the Brownfield has taken place. And they, even in their presentation, says that they work with MISTA. They've done housing development. So I think we already may have a candidate that could handle exactly what Mr. Little is suggesting, or have the skills and the.
Okay.
is Mr. Little aware of?
Are you?
this
I don't know if
particular-
he's seen these submissions. I don't know if he's seen them or not, or if he's read them. But they say here that they worked with those, with the MEDC and or MISTA as appropriate on the VRA's behalf. And will review an applicant, provide a work plan, and will prepare and submit an Act 381 work plan for the capture. So
okay, but are they savvy at work
Just a moment. She-
at night?
she has
I'm
the floor.
just, all I'm saying is that here they are saying they have that experience with MISTA, MEDC,
Yeah.
and apparently are aware of, I guess, what is required by them. So,
We'll get to
yeah.
that in old business.
and this is with Slice and Vanderbrink.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was the citizens' comments. And so we have to make this
We're on the
portion of citizens'
committee
comments
reports.
close.
Okay,
So, okay,
Gotcha.
if we hear nothing else from citizen comments,
Well, oh, that was his.
that was citizen
reports.
comments. This portion of citizen comments, because we'll revisit that in old
Okay.
business.
Okay.
Now we have the, committee report.
Madam Chair, there are no committee reports this evening.
Well, thank you. Treasury report.
Madam Chair and members, I direct you to page 6 of your packets. That is the balance sheet for the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority through the end of September. And I'm rather excited to point this out to you, because what it shows is that you have a little over $881,000 in cash in the bank right now. But you also have a receivable that's showing of over $217,000, which incidentally, I received that check this week. It just has not been deposited. That gives your total assets for the first time ever
Fine.
of over $1 million. You're almost at $1.1 million right now in total assets, which, congratulations, that's fantastic.
Thank you, Mark.
If you refer to the next page, page 7, this is your income statement, once again, through the end of September. The right-hand column shows your year-to-date. You've got the $217,000 figure that I just mentioned, which is the summer tax capture. You've got over $1,800 in interest on a year-to-date basis, which again is fantastic compared to what we've seen in years past. You've got payables to, not payables rather, but expenses for Plant Moran as well as my firm of about $9,400. And once again, the cool part is the bottom right-hand number, double underlined, almost $210,000 in what the private sector would refer to as profit, net income. Now, a significant portion of that will be dispersed over the course of the next couple of months as part of the summer tax capture. But my preliminary estimates suggest that even after that disbursement, you're probably still going to be sitting on assets of just over $1 million. Nice
Talking
job.
about the 2.8, the 2.8.
So that completes the financial reports, Madam Chair.
Financial report. Does the board
Question.
wants to do you want to do both of them together or one at a time? Now let me go ahead and do both of them.
He's just covered both.
No, he didn't.
No.
I think she meant payables as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
Do them separate.
Oh, I thought you meant the
Yeah,
balance sheet
all
and
right.
income statement.
We need a motion to approve.
With payables.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
No,
Second. Support.
Oh.
You approve.
Oh,
Support.
motion.
Second.
Okay, now your questions.
Which amount, Mark, did you say we were going to be spending out of a significant amount?
You've got, the check I just received from the city is a little over $217,500. That's what you're going to be spending probably about $70,000 of in disbursements, once again, for the summer tax cycle.
Any of these have to do with page 8?
No,
No? Okay.
Michelle?
I had a question, but I'll,
Okay.
when we get to that
Mr.
point, that's
Hudson?
probably.
Thank you, Ms. Evans.
yeah, I got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Starting with the balance sheet on page 6. I see that there is a check listed as line item 001.2003 in the amount of $16,359.23. And it is included along with the checking and savings account. What is the nature of those funds?
Madam Chair, Mr. Hudson, that is a sum of capture that we are holding for a particular developer awaiting their documentation of eligible expenses. We can't give it out to them until they've given us that information, but we are holding it as a separate account. And I think, Mr. Hudson, this stems back to a request that you made a couple of years ago to see those holds actually called out for whom they are being
Thank
held.
you.
And that is for
I'm
the
still making that request.
12th, that is for the 12th and Main Prairie Kirsch site.
Okay, so that would lead me to say that these two items are technically not the same. The $348 is unencumbered cash to this organization.
Exactly correct.
$16,359 is an encumbered amount.
Correct.
I don't see that showing here,
That's why we've called it out separately, Mr. Hudson.
but it is listed in a manner that it is unclear, and this is an accrual statement. So there should be something relevant to that $16,359 in the liability section of this statement,
Well, Mr.
which would reduce the fund balance amount, but it would detail specifically that this $887,593 is encumbered to this amount, $16,359. Let's not even start questioning it. It's basic accounting.
Mr. Hudson, I'll be happy to pass your comment along to Plant
And
Moran.
that's why my second question would be, is there anyone here from Plant Moran?
No, sir.
Because I noticed in a couple of different ways, and it's not material. It's not going to affect our operations. There's no malfeasance or anything, even insinuated. But under proper GAAP statutes, that encumbered amount should show in the liability section of this statement. And it is a balance sheet, so it has to balance. And there are 4 or 5 ways they can do that, but I think the best way was simply for them to put in under current liabilities another account, because it is a payable amount. It does encumber what we have for operating, so it is material, even though it's no breach, okay? So that was my first response. Number 2, on page 7, statement of income and expense. And this is a full statement, accrual basis, which we see right at the top heading. You're telling me that I've got net income of $216,000, 550.74 on September 23rd. Then you're giving me a different amount of 209,966. And it seems as though that is some type of accrual amount for the 3 months, July to September, based upon what is listed here. How can I get two different amounts on the same date? I mean, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of, $6,000 or what have you, that should be showing here in some form or fashion. I just don't know how. And this is a full statement, so there's no single date on it. So I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to, imply to us with that. If you know, tell me. If not, it's no problem.
This is
Not
a
material, not
financial
materials.
report for the month of September.
Mhm.
And the left-hand column that you're referring to, that says September 2023 is for the month of September, a month of September only, reflecting revenues and expenses.
Okay, so that should say September 1 through September 23rd. Because, I mean, these statements, even though it's not material, they're supposed to help us. If we can't do it right with these small, insignificant numbers, I'm gonna hear about you, oh, it's gonna be better when you got something to deal with. It all gets more complicated. So that $6,000 should show up somewhere. I just don't know how I get the same income statement that gives me two amounts. And that is my specific question here.
Well,
I don't have a problem with the numbers, okay? I just don't know how I get there.
Mark?
well, Mr. Hudson, I will certainly pass this concern along to Plant Moran, as with the first concern, to your suggestion that the left-hand column be labeled September 1st through 30th of
I'm
2023.
not suggesting that, my brother. That is the generally accepted accounting principle.
I'll pass it along to the accountants, which I am not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is an income statement.
But
If
so we don't,
It has to have the 2 dates, Mark.
I understand, so that we don't leave this meeting though with the suggestion or implication that there seems to be money missing. There is no money missing. This is a 1 month statement versus a year-to-date quarter.
Mark.
I just want to be clear on that.
One statement with 2 numbers in the same date.
Well, we can argue about that, Mr. Hudson, but I'll defer because you're a member and I'm not. I will relay this along to the accountants, but clearly there are 2 date numbers that are indicated at the top of those 2 columns.
One says July
Through September.
And the other one just says September 23rd.
No, it's September
September
2023.
2023 for the month, and then it's the quarter, July through
This
September.
left-hand column has one date. It says September 23rd.
But it's 2023, it's the month.
The month and the year.
If you see the heading on there, if you go
I
up,
see the heading right next to it. It says July through September.
for the quarter.
May I, Madam
Just
Chair?
a moment.
What-
No,
what-
no,
Statement
wait a
is
minute.
incorrect, but let's move
Yeah,
on.
we have to.
Let's move on.
No, go ahead.
I think that he gets what I'm saying, but he's saying it should be more clear, because it's basically saying September of 23. So it's telling us that's our month, and the next column is saying the quarter, the third quarter. So that's kind of what they're saying. I think you're saying, Mr. Hudson, that you weren't clear. Because how you thought it read a day versus the month.
It's not me. It is
Okay.
the basic
Basic
law
accounting
of
principles.
accounting principles.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't go to the accounting classes you guys went to,
I'm just
but
saying.
reading this,
If you went, you would have
average
seen that.
person
So
would
there's no
understand
problem.
that.
Let's move on.
Yes,
Let's
we
move
have.
And then the other comment you had earlier, it looked how they did the accounting on the balance sheet. It pretty much is just reading exactly how Mark said, our current cash. The other transaction hasn't happened yet, so that's why they have it there. But you're saying you want a future transaction to be separated, correct?
You keep saying I want.
We,
Okay.
It's not what I want.
Mr.
It's basic accounting.
You want to go?
This $16,000 is an encumbered portion of this $887,000.
Um,
I don't want, You want to go?
No.
Okay, now,
No, go ahead.
Thank you.
Finish.
And thank you, Mr. Hudson. I didn't go to anybody's accounting class or college or university. Sometimes some things are common sense. And what you just explained are things that we've had problems with city finances, with things just basically being set in place and with a note that could read and understand to a child's mind of what he asked for, we've been asking for a long time. And that 16, I can't hardly see, so y'all bear with me. On page 6, that 16,000 that he was talking about, it should let us know more about what that money is for. As well as my question was the 348,000 on a credit union. What is that for?
It's cash in the bank that's unencumbered.
Okay, and I understand that, but just to look at this without asking a question, if I don't ask a question, I guess I'll never know, is why is it up here with the 16,000 and some odd dollars that's owed out or being held? And it could just simply be saying being held. I just want to address this. This over here on page 7, in the left-hand column, it says September 23rd. We know that we are in the year of 23. In the left-hand column, it says July-September 23. We still in the year of 23. We're not talking about 22. But for these documents to have these both to have different amounts, you know what I'm saying? All we've asked in time past is somebody that we pay. Because I think that we do pay too much to Plant Moran per month, even when we don't have a meeting, to not be here to greet us with their presence, even though we have our own treasure. But to be able to explain things without us being into it and in an uproar with each other, like one is smarter than the other. I mean, not that we're accusing anybody of anything, but I think that sometimes, even if it's occasionally, that they show up and answer a question that we might have. And the same goes for the our Brownfield attorney.
Call the question.
That's it, that's all.
I didn't
just a
bring it
moment,
out
just
to
a
stop
moment,
the
just a
meeting.
moment.
Peace.
I agree with what the board members are saying. Mark, you said that you would check it out and get back with the best. But
If
one
you call
thing,
me, I'll go with you,
you can do that.
because I'd like to hear the explanation.
No, can I finish?
Yeah.
One last thing. Can we, as an authority moving forward, start looking at our own finance person to take care of our finances in our documents, to work closely with whomever on the board?
We could ask
Call the
Mark,
question.
we could ask, no, I have a thought. We could ask Mark to have one of the representatives from the attorney to be here sometimes, and one of the representatives from Plant Moran to be here.
Quarterly or
Quarterly
annually or
or
something,
annually.
yes.
We can ask what they are gracious with their presence. That's no more
That's
than right.
simple,
Yeah,
yes.
we could do that. But I do want to remember something which is very significant to this board. And only one really would understand this would probably be Commissioner Adams and Mark at this point.
No, don't call my name.
Yes, I am. I'm going to call your name. When we started, there was a commissioner at that time, and Charles Yarbrough. And Mark says, you know, if we keep this and work this thing right, we'll have $1 million in the bank. And he said, I want to see it. I don't believe that can happen. I'm just so sorry he's not here to see it. And Mark, thank you. We don't know how it's going to be dispersed, who's that part of it. But up under your leadership, at this point,
Yeah.
we've gotten there. And it's not no small item to think about that. Because we've been going how many years? Ms. Adams?
21 years.
21 years.
We finally met the mark.
And we have hammered at this and
Mark.
hammered at this and hammered at this. And you said that. And you remember what he said? You know, he said that to you. He said, I gotta see it. You said, you'll see it one day. So at this point, I don't know. Now, I know Mr. Hudson, he's very, very astute with finances. And also we have a college degree with finances on here. They're gonna check you on them tidbits. But I'm talking about where we have come in this organization and this board in reference to making it, to help the city to become viable so that we can do some things in the community to spur economic development. And before you leave, I want to thank you for your leadership for this. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
Been a pleasure.
When's he leaving? Next week?
Wait a minute, but I may
You
not be
keep
here.
this up, I'm,
No.
That's why I keep asking. Let's stay busy.
But you gotta do things when you can. You never know, I might get amnesia, I don't know. Yeah, but I thank all of the board members for this. And thank you. Now we can move on because they want you
we
to-
have a motion that was made by Adams and supported by Chandler for the financial reports.
Roll call, he's called for the question, so roll call.
Hall,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Hudson,
With those two comments, yes.
Chandler,
Yes.
motion carries. Madam Chair and members, you also have on page 8 a payables listing. It reflects 2 invoices, one for September advisory services and one for your September financial statements, a total of which is $1,617.07. We'd be looking for your authorization to pay those invoices.
Motion to approve.
Second, okay, motion, second question. Concerns? Comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Chandler,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Now, old business, now. Old business, Mark.
Madam Chair and members, this is where we're going to talk about ranking the respondents, the 4 respondents that you had to your request for qualifications and price proposals, and establishing a schedule for interviewing the 2 top ranking respondents. That's what we talked about a little bit earlier. It's my intention and my hope that you all had an opportunity to review those submittals. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that you take this opportunity. I'll give you a ballot, if you will, that has the 4 respondents named on it. And I'd like you to simply rank them 1 through 4. What would be your first choice, second choice, third choice, and fourth choice? And then I'm going to collect those back from you here, and I'll tally them up real quick and tell you who your 2 top respondents are.
Sorry.
And then we can pick a date,
Thank you.
Oh,
which I would
gosh.
suggest during the week of November 6th, to bring them in for interviews.
This is unfair.
Now, number 1 is gonna be our number 1 choice.
Yes, ma'am. Number 1 would be your number 1 choice. Number 4 would be your 4th choice.
Say that again.
Number 1 is your first choice. You're ranking them in terms of who you think is number 1, who you think is number 2, number 3, and number 4.
Okay, see now, because of Mr. Little,
Thank you.
make this very difficult and I
Thank
will not
you.
participate.
I will find it very
I
difficult
wanna
to bring
participate.
anything here
I'm
without.
going to participate.
I
Hearing
said what I
that
said.
Mr.
I
Little-
said it. Did I say that?
No, I'm agreeing with you. I don't know why, but
I shall return.
I think he made a good point. And he are supposed to be getting together, meet with the people, you guys just get a better judgment of character and their capacity. So this exercise to me, I don't think has any weight. Because I'm depending on him, number 1, to say, yeah, we can work with these people.
Then, Mr. Hudson, once again, I'm going to take issue with you because Mr. Little accepted my recommendation here today to go through this process. And those 2 top respondents will be invited to come in and they will be told that this is a hot button for the city of Benton Harbor and this authority. Being able to articulate their skill set with respect to not only administrating a Brownfield authority, but addressing those types of issues going forward. Mr. Little will be in attendance during that meeting, and he will have an equal say with you in that selection process. You
You
may
people
just-
say for the city.
Yes, you may decide, Mr. Hudson, after interviewing those two top responding firms, that neither of them is qualified
I
in
think
your
they all seem
opinion.
to be
And
qualified.
Mr. Little will probably share with you privately what he believes, at least I would expect he would, that either they are qualified, one is, one isn't, or neither of them are. In which case, you can
They
decide
got
what you want to
licensed
do.
engineers,
Yes,
Come on.
yes.
you know.
So
I think they're all qualified.
rating them all the same doesn't count.
Well, usually a rating system
They're not the
requires
same.
some set
Ready.
of characteristics or, you know, attributes. There's something that you're using. And I'm gonna tell you, I think that if you say, look, this is somebody that we can work with that can do what we need done, because I see some things that look good in all of them, to be quite honest with you. But how do you set a priority? Because for me, I'll be honest with you, I want somebody close.
Mr. Hudson, I would suggest, and I would suggest that you express your opinion on that ballot sheet right now.
So I don't know if it helps you, Mr. Hudson, but what I did is I used the 4-point rating system with each one. Location,
No, wouldn't
staff,
help
well, I'm telling you anyway, location, staff, price, and experience. And so I ranked them according to that.
I know what I already know that. Anybody else?
Are you done already?
What we need to make a decision.
Everybody handing their decisions in?
I'm in the mine and
Okay.
Ms. Adams, did you complete one?
No,
Are you going to?
no, sir.
there's been one more little time and I'll hand the rest of me, but I'm looking for something.
I think it's very unfair, just upon the fact that we entertained Mr.
It
Little's
seems
ask.
to be redundant to me.
Okay, you're right.
Because I mean, if that's the case, we ought to just go ahead on and hire them tonight.
They are. These people, mine look different. You
They
got the
should
real
not
version.
be biased by anything that we say. They should go in there open-minded
Nope, here.
Going where?
to the meeting with these different prospective firms. He and Mr. Little.
Okay.
I think that's a perfect
Now,
alternative.
there's something else going on that this board is not aware
Yeah,
of,
you don't worry about
with
that.
hiring of positions.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
I'm
Just
not.
get somebody to
I'm
do
not
the
trying to
job.
waste my breath.
Yeah.
Not that-
We just want somebody to do the job.
We do want quality.
All these people have to have license. So how you gonna be qualified?
I just wonder what it would be looking like if we did what we initially came forward.
What's that? What do you mean?
One of us,
One of the students?
Yeah,
They would have
yeah.
been ready by now. That was 6 years ago, you remember? No.
well, actually it would, yeah, training homegrown, not folks that flew in, folks that grew in.
Well, that's all right, but we gotta do something. Mark ain't gonna be here
It's
forever.
sad,
Well, that's all
and
right.
it keep getting sadder.
Well, get done.
It will.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I don't know if these two members are going to vote or not vote. Are we going to vote?
I'll vote when it comes up to be a motion on this table. You will
Okay.
definitely hear from me.
Now, did we, as a board, say this is the process that we wanted to go through?
We had a surprise today, though,
Yes,
Madam Chair.
yes, ma'am. This is the process that we said we wanted to go through.
There were a number of email exchanges that occurred since the last meeting,
So
and this is what was suggested, and there was no negative response.
now, those of us that's not, are you going to talk to the other members to get theirs? Because they might have a reason to not be here.
No, ma'am, I had not planned to do so. They all knew that this was coming up tonight, and they knew that they were asked to apprise me if they were going to be in attendance or not in attendance, and I did not hear from any of them.
They didn't email you any kind of way,
No,
talk to you
ma'am.
about this process?
They didn't even email me to give me the courtesy of saying they wouldn't be here tonight.
Okay,
We should
Madam
worry.
Chair.
We got
just a moment,
problem
just a
with
moment.
business.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with what you're
Madam
saying.
Chair,
But just a
Ms.
moment,
Ms.
I,
Kennard let us know at our last meeting that she would not be in attendance because she would be flying
Yeah.
out somewhere.
she did. She's,
Okay.
she's absolutely right. But Ms. Kennard, he said, read this, look over it, and email or get back with me and give me your choice. Did she do that?
She did not.
Nobody did that.
Correct.
Okay, so only thing we can deal with, including those two, is what we have on file.
I'd like to
All right.
know, Madam Chair, from Mark's response that he got via email, what was the count on those?
I didn't get any responses via email.
You said that you had asked a question about who all would, read these over and
Right, you were all copied.
Yeah.
Every one of you was copied on
the
the chain of
responses that
emails.
you got.
I did not receive a negative response, is what I said
Okay, you didn't
earlier.
receive did you receive a response, period? You said not a
Yes, I
negative.
did. The
How many?
responses that I received were that they agreed that this was a process that
Okay,
they could
Yeah.
support.
okay, and I'd say this again, did I agree? I don't even remember. But the fact of the matter is, today we were asked by a very important employee that works for the city if we would entertain this matter in a different way.
Madam Chair, if I may, let's be entirely clear here. You are not hiring a firm
Right, and I'm
tonight.
aware of that.
You are selecting the two top firms who you believe to be the two top respondents to come in. You're going to invite them in for an interview,
Okay.
and you're going to have the opportunity to question them with respect to those things that Mr. Little had asked about
Okay,
and anything else that you might have on your mind.
okay,
And then from that meeting, you're going to dismiss those
Okay.
parties and you're going to decide what you want to do.
okay, and Madam Chair, if I may, I'm for trying to find solutions and not chaos. I think that are we going to have an emergency meeting? And if in fact we are not, I think the same way that we gave, it's a way for us to work this out, even though these are not here. If nothing is happening between now and then, to give the other board members an opportunity to actually send theirs in.
Commissioner Adams, and she's very perceptive of including the other board members, and I appreciate that. But we have a process and we do have to move forward. And so we're going to continue to move forward with what we have. When they come, the next meeting, they can participate. Oh, he decided to participate, thank you.
You're quite welcome. It's just a little redundant.
Yes,
For me, it's
Why are we
principle.
ranking them? If they don't pass their fitness test,
That's
we
right.
shouldn't even be
I don't
talking
know
about it.
if Commissioner misunderstood or didn't hear when Mr. Little agreed to the suggestion that Mark made for us to choose two.
Okay,
And
that's
that he
fine.
would be a part of the interview process. So I don't understand,
No,
I mean,
no.
and I
He was
understand-
unaware that this right here was
And
going to
I
happen.
also understand that we would like, we would like somebody close or all those different things we
Even you.
have. But from my understanding, this is the second round of our taking applications. And those people who wanted to apply did. So we've got what we've got at this point. And if we are going to, be, move forward with those things, those people that he said he's been talking to, I think to expedite that, we should get going. And then Mark wants to go fishing. That's Mr. Understood.
okay,
I
Mark,
fully understand.
Madam Chair, we've had 4 ballots that have turned in, 4 of the 5 members here,
Yes.
and the ranking is as follows. The top 2 firms are Fishbeck and Fleiss and Vanderbrink. And I might add that there was a very consistent vote very consistent, not unanimous, but very consistent vote with respect to those two firms. So whatever you all saw in those two firms, or what many of you saw in those two firms, you all saw together. So with your permission, Madam Chair and members, what I will do is suggest that you not call an emergency meeting, but a special meeting to be held sometime during the week of November 6th, during which these two firms can come in and make their presentations to you. You can interview them over a short period of time and then dismiss them, reconvene with Mr. Little's input, and decide what direction you want to go.
Yes, it sounds good.
So,
You
so,
say,
Just a moment. Mr. Hudson, just a moment. Will you be here during November? You know, you said you're gonna leave. You gonna be here? Okay. Go ahead. Now, who's that, Mr. Hudson?
I'm still confused. I
Don't be.
don't like confusion.
What are they talking confused about?
Once these two firms come in
we gotta get in
and we're
with them.
questioning and so-called querying them as to the fitness
How much
for our
they
needs.
gonna want?
Well, it's in their proposals that we
Yeah.
charge the hourly fee.
Can you afford it?
Why are we talking to Mr. Little? It's not making any sense to me. We bring them in, we talk with them, we query them, then we turn them over to him.
Now, I just, no, just a
I'd like
moment.
it to be just the other way around,
No, just let me make this a little bit clear.
please.
Mr. Little is the city's representation. This Brownfield board is the Benton Harbor City Brownfield Redevelopment. Mr. Little represents what the city wants as it relates to the Brownfield and how we can help the city get what it
And
wants.
he's a non-voting member,
And he's a
Well,
non-voting
that's
member.
what I say, it just seems to be backwards to
and
me.
he voted on some stuff.
Well, I know about that. No, he shouldn't
If
have.
we
voted.
talk to only the
And so
individuals.
therefore, just a moment, Mr. Hudson, just a moment, Mr. Hudson. He gets with our consultant, and they work it out what's gonna be best as it relates to whom he think he can work with to get what, all the things of this new access and Act 381, to keep it in congestion so we can stay and won't have to put on no orange suits. And Mark brings that to us, and then we deal with it and see if this is what it is,
Okay.
and we can work with.
Okay.
Mayor. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to just say that as a Ben Harbor elected official, it was very important for us to, one or two, to sit on this board solely for the purpose that a lot of the developments that come through here, we don't make sole decisions on. We send it to the body for approval,
Yes.
and then it comes back to this authority, because they work hand in hand together on the developments that's going on in the city, because we have to make sure that it matches the master plan once
Absolutely,
it's approved.
absolutely.
So with that being said, it's important that we work very closely with
Absolutely.
the Plan Economic Development Director, whomever that is or shall be. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that,
Okay, thank you.
And that's the reason that, I mean, I'd like us to go ahead and vote on table it and go on with this.
I would like,
Let's move on.
All right, thank you.
yeah.
Call the question.
Next. Oh, he called for the question.
There is no question. There is no
I move
question.
that we table the item on the agenda, which was to,
No, we took care of that item. We took care of this item.
no, it's on the agenda as,
It's not on as an action item.
Yes.
oh, it's not on there for an action item, okay.
Now we have,
It's not there.
number 2.
Number 2, we have a request from Prairie Real Estate Group to reconsider several of the eligible expenses that were associated with their demolition, preliminary demolition of the 353 Main Street property. You recall that a couple of meetings back, Prairie had submitted an invoice package that we reviewed, and we approved a substantial portion of those, but we did deny roughly $1,600 worth or something along those lines. Well, they got back to us with some additional documentation requesting that we reconsider, which is all pursuant to the reimbursement agreement that you have with them. They have the ability to do that. And they got back to us within the prescribed time period. I did review that submittal. They made a request once again of about $1,700 or so in additional expenses. I found $162.50 that are very clearly eligible for reimbursement. I still take issue with the balance of the submittal. So I'm recommending that you accept my recommendation for approval of an additional $162.50 in eligible expenses, and that we move on.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Motion second, discussions, concern, questions?
Yes, you know, I got
Mr. Hudson?
this whole procedure seems to be over, what does it look like, $620?
Yes.
Page 15, summary.
Oh, okay.
And we're saying, hey, we'll pay you for this $162.50, but I don't pay you for this $620 because it doesn't meet the requirements of our contract.
For the reasons stipulated in that memo, Mr. Hudson.
I saw each one of the points, and they read very clear, because there is a difference between demo and reconstruction or what have you. But, I mean, he's building us a couple times here, and I really like your stickiness, because, you know, we're not supposed to be paying for anything more. But that still would not bring him up to the $55,000 amount that we had agreed on the onset to make available to him. Even if we paid these amounts. So my whole thing is, we now know what to include in the next contract so that will not be this haziness. And I'm sure he wouldn't build us on these items if he didn't have the impression or the thought in his mind that they were allowing more. So we learn a little bit, he learned a little bit. Yeah, keep it moving. I don't think you should be wasting a whole bunch of time on
Yeah.
$500, to be honest with you. And I love the stipples. And I'm gonna fight with you. If you say, Sam, we ain't giving him a quarter, all right, then we're giving him a quarter. But, you know, take a little bit of weight off your head. I mean, he's still under, because I keep looking here. For some reason, we thought that $55,000, if he put it there, you know, it was acceptable to us. So he's within that. Leave yourself up to the fight. And, but if you say we ain't paying him, Sam, then okay, we ain't paying him.
Is that song?
So you call it.
Okay, Mark.
Orange suits.
Okay.
No orange juice?
Like, look like.
All right, then we ain't
Not for
paying.
me.
Then we ain't paying.
No.
Call the question.
Okay, no, just a moment, she has her hand.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
I ain't saying nothing. I ain't saying a word. I ain't saying a word.
Okay, come on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The 55,000 is the overall portion that we agreed upon.
That was
Okay,
the,
so, and this is not something we're actually paying back at once, but in increments.
you will pay it out of the, what's been accrued already for that project.
Exactly. Not all at once, though.
Could be.
Could be.
It may be, but it,
Could
not
be,
necessarily.
But not necessarily. Okay, carry on. Thank you.
So now that begs the question, these are to be pre-approved.
He's bringing them to us
It
now.
depends on how he brings them.
He's
What I'm
bringing them to us
saying, so-
now.
These
He checks the
are
eligible
approved.
expense and brings them to
Correct.
us.
Okay,
Call the question.
All right, roll call.
Hudson,
I say he gets to $162.50, but he don't get the, what's the other amount you had here?
One vote, we move on.
Chandler,
Yes.
Hull,
Yes,
Warren,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, that completes our agenda for this evening.
Whoa.
Just a moment. I have some new business. Mark, November and December has been a standard for our not having the meetings. Now, what is the board's
Oh,
pleasure on this?
that we need our meetings. And if I may, Madam Chair, I'd like to tell you exactly why.
Okay,
And which is why it's very important that, we stay in sequence with our City Department of Economic Development. There's a lot of things going on and a lot of finances that are coming to distressed cities. It's actually already here. A lot of us are applying, and organizations applying for funding for shovel-ready projects because, the initiative that the President's Cabinet has put forth with the Justice 40 initiative, for these distressed cities, we need to be ready.
okay, I understand.
We have too many snag-a-tooth properties in the community.
Mr. Hudson? So I'm saying if we do this, then it's during the holidays, so those that can, some people go out of town, stay weeks at a time, some people go out.
This is the second week.
No, people go stay with their children 2 weeks, month here. So whatever the board agrees to is fine with me. Now, Mark, you got something to say?
Madam Chair, we talked earlier about a special meeting during the week of November 6th. My suggestion would be Thursday, November 9th, assuming Mr. Hudson is still in town at that point in time, for the purposes of conducting the interview and perhaps any other business that might come before this authority. That takes care of your November meeting.
That's our regular meeting date though, right?
Yeah, I like that.
That is an odd meeting date. That's correct.
That's November, okay.
It's November
Now, what's going
9th,
on
which
in
is a
December?
Thursday.
What's going on in December?
I-
Look at your
I
calendar.
can't speak to
Look at your
December, Madam
calendar,
Chair.
y'all.
Can we just plan our meeting for that second Tuesday as well? And then if it's blizzarding or something, I mean, just play it by ear.
No,
But there may be something pressing going on because the city commission meeting's gonna happen. That department over there is going to happen, and like I said, we've been waiting for too long for things to happen. And now that the funding is here and it's only happening in our lifetime, we have to have these projects ready to go.
I agree. So this is what we concur. Yeah,
I thought we already had a statutory meeting date.
yeah, but what I'm saying to you is, to me, this process we had was very, very
It's
important.
Thursday.
And you see how many people is here. If one of y'all decide not to come, we'd have to postpone this meeting. So we wanna make sure when it gets down to November and December, these people
Five
start to leave.
folks, if it's five folks, a
If it's
meeting
five
can
folks.
happen. You can't come, you just can't come, just like
And then you
business
won't have
happened
your
today.
meeting. All right,
It needs to keep moving.
anything else?
Yeah, I voted this stuff.
All right, good. Now, members, Ms. Johnson, you have anything? Ms. Barr, Madam,
I'm sorry,
members comment.
everybody stay safe. Wait, no. See, just like, I was just saying, you know, I met some people last night that reminded me of where I came from. And they requested something of me. And I think that this is a time, and I'm gonna say it again, that this authority invests in something for this community, even if it's the Paw building. Now that the city has secured funding for the armory and its operations and a position, if we can do something to obtain and redo the armory for the people within this community to have meetings and stuff without having to pay large sums of money for a venue that they don't have. I wish that we could do something like that and continue to work on the new housing development, like Mr. Little said, and I've been saying it for years, can we at least do the infrastructure and prepare a property for a new build? If we can get in and lay the foundation of at least one, show the community that Brownfield is working for them and get something else on the tax roll.
Very good.
What is?
get something on tax.
All right now, just testing the girls.
Okay, take that to the city will bring it to us. All right?
No, I'm bringing it to us.
No, you have to bring it to the city first, if that's what they want. If they want that armor to be brought up, and if there's.
No, the armory is taken care of already.
Well, whatever you want in there, whatever you need to do.
No, that's all I'm talking about, the Paw building.
Well,
If that's an initiative that we can take on ourselves, because it's a federal building that cannot be
we talked
sold.
about that last meeting. Okay,
Can you put it on the agenda,
we had that on last meeting.
our next agenda?
We had that.
Paw
on last
building,
meeting. Paw building, which one is that?
200 Paw. They're sitting and rotting away.
Oh, Carl Brown, oh, what's the name of that building?
Carl Brown,
No, the name of that building is.
200 Paw.
The business incubator building?
Business Growth Center.
Okay,
You wanna have something to say?
put it on the agenda.
Okay, thank y'all for coming out, and you have an announcement.
Oh, she thinks you talk too much.
Why did I not have my chance to speak?
You have an
Madam Chair?
announcement here.
Oh,
She has an announcement.
so,
She has an announcement.
Miss Ivy?
Go ahead.
so I wanted to announce my community event. Everybody's invited. We're gonna be giving away a lot of items to the Harbor Towers residents. And it's October 21st from 1 to 3 in Center City Park.
Okay, Mr. Hudson, you have something you wanna say?
Oh, it's a couple of things.
All right. Commission comments.
Number one,
You're the only one left.
last week or last month, I passed out a draft of a travel policy.
Thank you.
We sit here talking about somebody doing and ascribing to all the new possibilities with the changing, statutes and regulations. I think that's what that travel budget that we've been voting in the last 3 years as well. So I would like us to take that up as a means of creating a process to initiate and help induce people to start going on these conferences.
Now,
You just missed the.
I'm glad he brought that up, and this is commissioner comments, and that's what he brought up. Now, this is my personal opinion. I don't think I'll be going to too many more trainings, but those of you and all these new people need to go. He's absolutely right. But as far as bringing back a receipt or trying to talk to them about what they spent, what they didn't spend, whatever's allowed in their statute for us, each member to do, that's what should be. These people, do we have to bring in a receipt for how much gas we use to come down here to these meetings? Do we have to bring in a receipt for how much time we spend on
You're
these
not
boards?
asking this
No,
committee to pay you.
No, we're not.
Okay.
And so
we're
therefore,
not
don't
discuss the
pinpoint,
additional
I'm talking, I have the vote, I have the floor.
I can't hear.
I have the floor. These members give their time, day, month after
Let
month.
them spend their money.
We do.
Excuse me.
Just a moment, I have the
We
floor.
don't question that.
Whatever's in that statute that these members can use to go to a meeting, pro tem or what have you, that's what they have to do. But now, if this board wants to bring back a $2 receipt, or if they want to bring back a $5 receipt, or $2 over here, a budget over here, a penny over here, a penny over there, y'all vote on it. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's asinine to ask these members as much time as they give. Didn't this girl right here say 22 years, 21 years, 23 years, we've been down here toiling to work to make things happen for this city
Without a paycheck.
without nothing moving and going, and then you're gonna ask somebody to bring in I'm not going nowhere no more. But I'm talking about these members. They don't need that on their mind. Every time they want to catch an Uber, every time they want to go catch a thing that they won't come and lose a receipt, then you gotta find, they're gonna say I'm stealing from the city. They're gonna say the city didn't have the money, they shouldn't have even went to the meeting. They got the money, now they use the money wrong. This is a political situation. As far as I'm concerned, if I was going, I would say, if you want the receipt, you better come and get them, because I'm not turning in nothing. Now, that's on you. And y'all can vote for what you want to vote for. I'm speaking for y'all, because I'm not going anywhere anymore. I may be 84 soon. What do you think?
Wow.
And so therefore, but I'm telling you, y'all give too much. People don't even consider people that come down here and, as Miss Adams say, in the snow, in the rain, using their gas, their clothes, their time, taking time. This girl got a baby, she gotta go home, she gotta get a babysitter. All that's costing us money,
And we need a stipend.
and we need a stipend. Now, thank you. Look in there and see if these board members can get a stipend.
Can't,
Not yet.
sorry.
I'm still working on it. But I got a question that was not
You
answered.
can't speak before she recognizes.
That's right, he's right. All right.
If you wanna argue, go ahead.
I'm not arguing, but you all keep looking at me as though
You are the culprit.
you're
the culprit.
What you need to do is understand your financial,
We got
Duty,
$1 million
your
dollars,
fiduciary.
$1 million.
You don't have nothing.
$1 million.
You don't have
We are the
anything.
citizens. It belongs to
It
us.
does not belong to you.
citizens
It belongs,
have
thank
work
you.
and
We're gonna
put
put
it
on
here.
this building.
Now,
Every penny
okay, I bet you.
should be
Vote, y'all vote.
accountable.
Yeah, we're gonna be
I
accountable.
don't believe that we should be in here acting like children. If somebody can't go to a meeting and come out like a professional, then we should not be
They
sitting.
do. We've been doing this for 21 years, haven't we?
And that's why we've been in financial.
22
It's
years,
policy.
going professional, haven't we, Sam? And
Excuse me.
nothing has ever come up with this board about no receipts. Now, y'all
That's
do what you wanna do.
ludicrous.
Do what you wanna do.
Conflict of interest.
We're not doing what we wanna do.
She
Let's
had-
stand it.
Yeah.
I just, I guess we haven't closed yet, but
No.
I need to go.
Go.
Motion to adjourn.
No, she got something to say.
I attached something to that email that I didn't get an answer about conflict of interest as it relates to contractors. I knew it was something I was forgetting. You remember when we did the $280,000? If we have a firm like that as a consultant and they want to bid on the work, is that, or is that not a conflict of interest?
Yes.
Okay,
You can't write specs and go bid on the work. What are you talking about?
that's right. All right.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. That's Sam.
Some people didn't know that though.
Mr. Anything else?
Well, we voted.
Wait, Mark has something.
Madam Chair and Commissioner Adams, each of the respondents were required to address that concern in their
Okay.
response. They had to tell you whether they had any conflicts that they were aware of, and they had to provide you with a mechanism by which they would alert you to any conflict should they come up in the future. So we're addressing that issue.
Well, what I said was it on tape. I hope it's on tape and send anybody that,
Cool.
put it on tape, send it to the commission, send it up to Lance, and send it to Activated One, and send it to, whoever's got this money, and put my name to it, Emma.
You don't have to put your
Are we-
name
Is
in just right now.
that a motion to adjourn?
I don't know how y'all think.
Is that a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, second.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Keep saying this is Sam, because this is not me.
No.